A lot of people are making commentary on Lizzo right now. And because this is coming from an astrology video channel, and because I'm also a big supporter of artists, I wanted to give my spiritual input on Lizzo. And I also wanted to tease out for you guys the fact that the seven Deadly Sins video is actually going to be dropping today. And this video is an introduction to that very thing, because on this channel we do spirituality. So let's get into this concept here, because a lot of people are looking at Lizzo and they're being like, well, I don't really believe her anymore. I've seen a lot of people talk about her insecurities being out in the open. And the whole body shaming and body positive movement is currently under a microscope, really asking the questions as, is this something that we really want to see? I've heard certain people say that, they think that she is too explicit, that she only uses her body, and a lot of people really are commenting on her body type, especially after the recent footage of her at on the red carpet. And I actually don't want to put that picture in because I'm not sure if YouTube will allow me to keep this video up if I do that. So I just wanted to speak on society in general, and there's a reason why Cardi B is in this, because I wanted to speak on the seven deadly sins, and I wanted to just make a commentary that gluttony is definitely a part of one of the seven deadly sins. And I think that Lizzo being on the chopping block, it's clear to see that gluttony is something that society does not take too well. Society does not accept that version of yourself, that shadow of yourself, very well. But when it comes to lust, society accepts it very well. And when it comes to pride, society accepts it very well. But it's also important to understand that it's still a part of the seven sins. And I want to share with you that my approach to the seven sins and the video that you'll be receiving tonight on this channel is not coming from a place of condemnation, but recognizing that partaking in the seven sins does produce a certain level of lack. It does produce a certain level of dissatisfaction in one's life. And so if we can understand that gluttony is something that we as a collective aren't very happy, or aren't very accepting about, then why not lust and why not pride? I think that Lizzo's journey is one that is vulnerable, and it does tackle the issues of pride in our society, because the question of could a woman who is thicker be prideful goes out on the table. And she's also displaying lustful activities, in which I don't have any judgment over. I just want to talk about how society accepts certain things, right? So they'll accept lust and pride maybe from someone who looks the part, but they won't necessarily accept it from someone who doesn't. And at the end of the day, when we're looking at the seven shadows or the seven sins or the seven signs, which we'll talk more about tonight, that they all are interconnected. That gluttony can lead to lust, can lead to greed, clearly can lead to sloth. That lust can lead to sloth, can lead to wrath, can lead to envy. That one is not opposite from, one is not different than the other, one is not separate from the other. That they all are intertwined. I watched a video on someone commenting on Lizzo, and there were people who were saying, like, we are going, let's make a campaign to stop listening to this woman's music. And I think that that is really interesting, because I've never heard anyone do that for any of the other artists out there who are skinnier, slimmer, but still show off lustful activities, still show off their bodies. And the person who was commenting on Lizzo, they were clearly upset at her body positive campaign. They were tired of it. They were also very tired of her lustful ways. And that's fine. I'm not here to judge anyone, but why, Lizzo? Why wouldn't you create a video and comment on other artists who have been in the game way longer than Lizzo and who have shown out their body in lustful ways. And if you're tired of it, why is it that you would choose a new artist versus an old artist, someone who has been around for a little bit longer, who's been doing this for a lot bit longer? So I wanted to showcase and just expose the fact that society chooses what it is that they deem as important, even though it's still part of the spectrum of the seven sins, or these shadow parts of ourselves. The need for somebody to put themselves out into the world is already going to create pride. So to do it and to do it on another level and spectrum, of course there's going to be other layers to people that you're going to see. I think that the fact that Lizzo, one commentary that I would say is that the fact that Lizzo is doing what she's doing, but she's doing it with vulnerability, is actually very healing to many people. People seem to be upset that she can be prideful at times, but I think that it is very balanced, that she comes with pride, but then she also comes with insecurity, that she shows where it is that she is still struggling. I think that this is the actual true human experience, and we deny this of people, and we choose apathy, and we highlight apathy and separation as being an important thing in the society. So the fact that this person who commented on Lizzo was complaining about her showing her insecurities, complaining about her being transparent about her vulnerabilities, is actually the very thing that the very reason why I wanted to do this video, because I think that it is misleading to humanity to complain about somebody sharing their vulnerabilities and their insecurities. Sharing your transparent and true self is one of the healing benefactors of the seven sins. Sharing your truest self, your most authentic self, is one of the things that helps alleviate the incessant need to indulge in any of the shadow sides of ourselves. So the very thing that this person was complaining about her was the one aspect of her that I felt that they really messed up. It's like they want her to be prideful. It's like people want you to be prideful, right? And I think that there is a level of confidence that is very much so sexy and accepting. But the fact that you can't be vulnerable, and that you have to be prideful about everything that you do, and that's what people want to see in their celebrities, that's what people want to see from the people that they look up to, shows you a lot about humanity. And so I really want to stress that my journey on the seven sins is not about condemnation, but it is about revealing the pitfalls that we fall into as humanity. And you wonder why we have division, and we have war, and we have judgment, and we have separation. Indulging and glorifying or putting any of the seven sins on a pedestal just because you don't like gluttony, but you do enjoy wrath, it doesn't make it okay that wrath would be something that you glorify in society, but gluttony is not. In fact, I think that Lizzo's work that she's doing is exposing people for who they truly are. And I think that she's displaying the fact that she's very significant, but also that she's not significant. That this is the plight of most women in this world who have natural bodies and who are pinned up against society's standards of what should be, when society itself requires, almost by an entry requirement, that you embody certain levels of shadows like lust and pride. So it's the very act itself also of putting yourself out into the world that makes you fall and succumb to these things. Even I have been working through these things and putting myself out into the world through astrology or through music. I've had to take a deep look at my own need to indulge in certain things like pride and wrath. It's actually very abnormal for a human to step outside and to be in a certain level of hierarchy. And even though it is very normal in today's day and age, it's actually not as normal towards the happiness and contentment of humanity. As you can see, certain people who have a lot of money don't necessarily have a lot of love, don't necessarily have a lot of connection. People who are very lustful or very, proud of themselves, proud of their bodies, they don't necessarily attract love all the time, right? So we have to recognize that our society creates these almost like these wormholes in which it's naturally easy for us to succumb to the shadows of ourselves. And I think that instead of focusing so much on the things that we don't like, that we do take a look at someone who is doing the work that nobody else is doing. Lizzo is doing the work that a lot of other artists aren't doing, which is being transparent, which is showing the many dimensions and spectrums of herself. It is only when we can actually see a human being for the various levels that they are that we can truly tap into our humanity. And the people who deny this of her are the very people who keep perpetrating the fact that the shadow side is the only way to actually get anyone's attention. In this industry, in this lawless industry, participating in the seven sins can get you attention very fast. In fact, that's part of the idea here. The fact that the seven sins requires or wants attention from a very deep level, from a place of deficiency, from a place of lack. The other thing about the seven sins is that they are connected to instant gratification. And so this is why they become a easy toolbox for people in the industry, because typically your lives are so busy that people need to pull from these aspects, these shadows of themselves to get your attention. Celebrities need to lie. They need to expose themselves. They need to be outlandish or crass. They have to choose something that would get your attention. And so they do dive into these seven sins and seven shadows constantly in order to maintain that attention. So this is not necessarily even about judging them for that, but just recognizing that when a celebrity or somebody who is in a place of hierarchy, which is already unnatural, right, for them to have done the things that they do and to do the things that they need to do to get your attention, well, at least this one celebrity is using her platform for good. She's using her platform to create positivity amongst people who may not have confidence. And she's sharing her insecurities and her real human self on a platform where she does not have to, where she could continuously partake in her own lust, pride, greed, and gluttony for her own selfish desires. But that's not what she's doing here. And I think that the people who condemn Lizzo for her being overweight or for her being lustful are really not recognizing their own shadows, or not recognizing their own hypocrisy and the things that they have indulged in and the things that they partake in that are part of their own shadows, like wrath and pride. So this is just a long introduction to what's coming tonight on the channel, and I'm really excited to bring you the dark side of the zodiac and the seven deadly sins. Peace and love.